and then we see what we are going to be looking at. Okay, I'm sharing the screen now. Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, we're going to begin. Yes, here we are. Okay. This program is funded by Edify Uganda. And of course, Edify, as usual, believes that every child deserves to learn and flourish. Okay, before I continue, I'm seeing a hand up. Prosi, have you got something to say? Prosi, you can unmute yourself.
Unmute them. Speak.
Okay, I think Prosi, you don't have anything to say. Okay. I've been telling you that this program is sponsored by Edify Uganda, and Edify believes that every child has to learn and flourish. Then Edify Association of Uganda, and then the government of Uganda, of course, can't be out of this. We are having history with me, Teacher Busuulwa Joseph, as you can see. And today we are going to look at the response to the establishment of colonial rule in East Africa. Okay, the response to the establishment of colonial rule in East Africa. How did the people of East Africa respond to the imposition of a colonial rule? Okay, that is what we are going to look at today. Now, before we actually look at how these people responded, before I give you what I have planned for you. Okay, Shida-shan, I'm seeing your hand up. Unmute.
Yes, teacher. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was giving one of the response to the establishment of colonial rule.
Okay, go ahead and give us how they responded.
The collaboration to colonization took different forms.
Okay. Okay. All right. For you, you are talking about collaboration. Okay. Thank you. Yes, that is one way through which these people responded to the establishment of colonial rule. There was collaboration. But of course, collaboration is also divided into some categories. We shall look at these collaborators in the different categories. Okay. I have Ayo. You can unmute yourself. Ayo, unmute yourself.
So I was asking, we are under which topic?
The topic, the one you are seeing on your screen. Are you seeing anything on your screen?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. This is a subtopic of scramble and partition of East Africa. Okay?
Yes.
Have you got that?
Yes.
So we are looking at scramble and partition of East Africa. The subtopic we are looking at is the response to the establishment of colonial rule in East Africa. Okay. I have Christine, then Jennifer, Grace. One of you can unmute. Christine, Jennifer, Grace, Gad, Isaac. One of you unmute.
Some of the East Africans resisted against the colonial rule.
Yes, thank you so much, Isaac. Some people in East Africa resisted colonial rule, right? They resisted colonial rule, and that is one of the responses. That is how some people in East Africa responded towards the establishment of colonial rule. Viking, you can unmute yourself.
Actually, I just wanted to add on the point of resistance.
Yes, please, go ahead.
When we look at how some tribes responded to this colonial rule, some tribes staged rebellions, others were very hostile to the colonial, to the colonial administrators.
Yes.
Then when we look at the ones who collaborated, some collaborated because they did want money or prestige. Others wanted peace, they didn't want war.
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to add.
Okay, thank you so much. That is wonderful, actually. That is so wonderful. You've elaborated most of what I was going to talk about. So I will just hint on what you've talked about. Thank you so much. He has actually talked about those who collaborated. They collaborated simply because of different reasons. There are those that wanted the material gains. There are those that wanted the protection, you get, and so many others. Again, there are those that, when we look at resistance, okay, some people resisted by fighting, others resisted passively, you know, different ways of resisting. We are going to look at all of that. Thank you. Isingoma, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, please.
In addition to the point of resisting, these Africans also resisted by striking and forming riots.
Yes, that is true. Okay, that is true. Thank you so much. There are those that resisted by striking, by rioting. Are you getting it? Yes, many of these African societies rioted against the colonialists, and that is one way of resisting. Thank you. Naziz Fatuma, you can unmute yourself. Naziz Fatuma, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning.
Some Africans formed the political parties.
Yes, some Africans formed the political parties, and that was a secondary resistance. Of course, political parties like KANU in Kenya, you know, UPC in Uganda, okay, and so many other political parties, DP, okay. All right. Thank you so much. Then Muchibi Rodin, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Oh, actually, it's an afternoon. You had misled me.
Some Africans formed rebellions.
Some Africans formed the rebellions. True. Okay. Now, most of what you are giving, I think, might be outside what we want to. Okay? Let me show you the introduction here, and then we are going to put up our hands for another subtopic, right? So I don't know that there is anything you would like to add. Okay, Rodin, anything new?
No, teacher. I had forgotten my hand up.
Okay. So, okay, I'm seeing Melvin. Okay, Melvin, maybe you have something new. Melvin.
Through forming political parties.
Okay, through forming political parties, yes. That is one way through which Africans resisted against the colonial rule. Now, let me try to introduce, then I will be calling you for some other, for something else. Jonathan or Jonah, do you have something to say?
Yes, sir. Imported goods.
Yes. Sorry, Jonathan, come again.
They boycotted colonial goods.
Okay, they boycotted colonial goods. That is one way of resisting. That is the truth. Okay. Let us first introduce, then I'll come back to you, okay? Let me first introduce. We've actually talked about a lot, but there is this information we need at the beginning. We are saying the African response to colonial rule refers to the attitude or reactions Africans showed to the coming of colonialists in East Africa. Okay, African societies responded in different ways to European occupation of East African states. So we are saying African societies responded in different ways. There is something to note there. They responded in different ways to European occupation of East African states. Okay, now having known that they responded in different ways, we need to look at the different ways in which they responded. Okay, now some leaders and their societies outrightly decided to fight the Europeans, and they were called primary resistors. Are you getting it? Outrightly decided to fight the Europeans, and these ones are referred to as primary resistors. An example of these primary resistors, we have men like a Kabalega of Bunyoro. We have Chief Koitarel Arab Samoy of the Nandi, okay, in Kenya. And then Chief Mukwawa of the Hehe in Tanganyika. These are some of the primary resistors we can talk about, okay? Koitarel Arab Samoy of the Nandi in Kenya, then Kabalega of Bunyoro. Then we also had Chief Mukwawa in Tanganyika, present day Tanzania, right? A moment, let me see from the chat. People were actually telling me how they so they boycotted. Okay. So we have this other information here. Okay, some people are giving reasons here. So we have this other information. Remember, we are introducing, and at first I said that the people of East Africa responded differently. Okay, and we are looking at now the different ways of response. And we said some of them resisted, and there are those that resisted at the very beginning, and we are referring to them as primary resistance. Okay. Then another category, another way through which these people responded. We are saying others welcomed the colonialists and fought them after realizing they were cheaters and had taken their independence and wealth. Are you seeing? There is a group that first welcomed these people. Are you getting it? But then later realized that these were cheaters, and then they resisted against them. And we are referring to these as secondary resistors. Okay? The example of these secondary resistors is Kabaka Mwanga of Uganda, among others. Okay? Mwanga, first of all, welcomed them, but later realized that these were cheaters, and then he resisted them. So this category of people is a category of secondary resistors, right? So still introducing, by the way, remember we said they reacted differently. Okay, now we have this one here, that other communities showed the maximum cooperation with the colonialists, and these were known as collaborators, right? Other communities showed the maximum cooperation with the colonialists, and these ones are referred to as collaborators. Now, among others, we had Buganda, Ankole, Toro, Masai, and so many others that resisted. Okay, so sorry, that collaborated. Then we have this category also, but it is a category of collaborators, meaning that we are dividing collaborators into two. The way we divided resistors into two, we had the primary resistors and the secondary resistors. Now we had those that collaborated. Simply because they had nothing to do. And again, there is this group that collaborated simply because it was looking at wealth. Okay, so another category of response was called opportunistic or mercenaries or career collaborators. These supported colonialists in exchange for material gains, right? And examples included Sir Apollo Kagwandi Semeika Kungulu of Uganda. So these are the opportunistic collaborators, people who collaborated in exchange of material gains. You understand? So that is another category of collaborators. Now, we have to look at reasons why East Africans collaborated with the whites. We've started with the reasons why these people collaborated with the whites, right? Okay. Now, for people who are saying I'm fast, I am not speedy. Don't worry, you are going to get notes as usual. The moment we finish up with this lesson, I will be sending the notes in to the Google Classroom. You don't have to copy notes here, okay? Because there is no time for you to copy notes. The notes are coming to the Google Classroom. You'll actually be copying from there in your time. Okay. I have Deniva. Your hand is up. I believe you are going to give reasons why these people collaborated. Deniva.
Some collaborated to gain favor from the colonialists.
Some collaborated simply because they wanted favor from the colonialists. Okay, thank you. Rodin.
Some collaborated to get wealthy.
Some collaborated in order to get wealth. Thank you so much. And that is, of course, one of the reasons why. Another person is Shida Shan.
States were involved in inter-tribal wars for commercial and political reasons.
Yes, states were involved in inter-tribal wars, so they collaborated in order to be assisted by the whites against fellow Africans. Thank you. I have another person here, and that is Julia. Julia, you can unmute yourself. Oh, yes, Julia.
Yes. People like Kakungulu were convinced that the best way of fighting Buganda enemies was to collaborate with the British.
In other words, this point is that some people collaborated because they didn't know why they were collaborating. Okay? Some people collaborated simply because they didn't know what it was all about. Okay? Okay, Christine, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, teacher. Thank you. They wanted to get prestige.
Okay. Thank you for that prestige. Some people collaborated simply because they wanted the prestige. Okay. So I'm back. That one has told us that some of them collaborated for prestigious reasons. Amanya Tricia.
Most African societies collaborated in order to get gifts from Europeans.
To get things, to get material wealth, to get goods, to get, money from the white. Thank you. Then Viking, animate yourself.
Some collaborated because they wanted to learn new styles of, let me say, like the way Kabaka Mutesa wrote a letter to invite missionaries. So he wanted to learn new languages, styles of dressing. Others collaborated because of protection, because when we look, when Buganda got some missionaries for protection by these colonialists.
So that okay. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much. Protection. I've noted that point of protection. Yes, some societies collaborated simply because they wanted the protection against the fellow African societies, because at the time societies were fighting against each other. So these ones collaborated simply because, or some groups collaborated simply because they wanted to be protected. Okay. Briefly.
Yes, please. Africans were ignorant.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes, some people collaborated simply because they didn't know what it was all about. They were ignorant. They didn't know what was behind the collaboration. They didn't know that a white man had come to take their independence. Okay. So, Miracle.
Yes, teacher. Good afternoon, teacher. Some
Good afternoon.
collaborated because they wanted riches from the whites.
They wanted the riches from the whites. Thank you so much. Okay. Then Robina.
Teacher, some people wanted to gain political publicity.
Okay, others wanted the political publicity. Semeika Kunguru, Saporo Kabwa. Okay, thank you. Aronda Jonathan, I think. Aronda. Yes, Aronda. Waiting for your contribution, Aronda.
Some wanted to never to lose their independence.
Okay, I think that was resistance. That was the resistance, because there is no one who collaborates and then is in favor of independence. Okay, but that falls under resistance. Okay. Christine, Jennifer. Grace,
Sir, some communities collaborated because they were too weak to fight to resist against the colonial rule.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is true. Some societies collaborated because they were too weak to resist a white man. They realized that it won't pay them to resist. They were weak. They couldn't fight against a white man. Thank you. Daphne.
Some collaborated in order to be famous.
In order to be famous, yes. Thank you. Someone has already. Okay. Then Zach. Zach, you can unmute yourself. Jenna Zach. Jenna Zach, unmute yourself. Oh, I think Jenna Zach has issues. Can you unmute yourself? Okay. Amara Masi, unmute yourself.
Some societies collaborated with the whites to get military help to fight off their enemies.
To get the military help. There are groups that collaborated simply because they wanted the military help to fight against their enemies. Moment. Okay, if you've unmuted, please try to mute if you are not asking. Okay. Julia.
Yes.
You can contribute.
Due to military influence, some societies collaborated.
Due to military influence, I think you are talking about strength and pride of some states. Okay. Rodney?
Some collaborated because they wanted to get jobs.
Because they wanted to get jobs, okay, to work for the colonialists. Okay, then Trisha.
Other societies collaborated because they feared the military strength of the whites.
They feared the military strength of the whites. Yes, we've seen that. Robina.
Teacher, some leaders wanted they wanted to enlarge their lands.
Oh, by getting assistance from the whites in the fight against their fellow Africans. Okay. Angela. Angela.
Some collaborated because the enemies had resisted.
There were enemies that
Had resisted.
Oh, okay, because the enemies had resisted. Yes, thank you so much. No one had given that point, but it is one of the good points. Yes, there are those that collaborated because their enemies had resisted. Okay, thank you. Jenazak. Jenazak. Unfortunately, Jenazak, you are not unmuted. Please, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think Jenazak has issues. Then Caroline. Caroline, unmute. Nantamba.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine. One of the reasons why the East Africans collaborated with the whites was because the East Africans wanted assistance to fight their fellow enemies who were strong and militarily.
Okay. Okay, thank you. There are those that resisted simply because they wanted the assistance and support against their enemies, right? Okay. Naziz Fatuma, unmute.
Some Africans collaborated because they wanted to become superior.
Because they wanted to become superior. Okay. Then Rodin.
Some Africans collaborated because they had lost against their enemies like Chief Awich.
There are those that collaborated simply because they had lost against their enemies and they thought they would get support from these colonialists and then fight back. Okay, Rita.
Yes, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm fine. Fear and to promote peace and harmony led to the collaboration between the Africans and the whites.
Yes, thank you so much. There was that need for harmonious way of living. Okay, they wanted to live a harmonious life. That is why they never wanted. Thank you. Julia. Okay, Julia is not actually. Okay, I have Julia. Okay, Julia.
The direction or route taken by European invaders also determined African reaction. Like yeah, Buganda visitors who entered from the south were warmly welcomed.
Okay. Okay. The way Africans welcomed the Europeans also had something to do with resisting and collaborating. It depends. I think you would have talked about the role played by the explorers who actually reported to their home countries about the different societies in East Africa. That this society is a society of very hostile people. This is a society of very welcoming people, you know. And when they came, there are those that they fought immediately. You understand it? And there are those that they treated very well. Okay. Now, let us try to. I think we have exhausted everything. I don't think there is something we've not talked about. Diaz, anything that we've not talked about?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a point. Some collaborated, like to be famous, to be known.
Okay, to be famous. Thank you. But that was, we have seen it already. Now, briefly, anything new? Yes, briefly.
Natural disasters. Natural disasters. Natural disasters. Disasters.
Natural reluctance. Okay, there are those that were weak. Okay, there are those that were weak who actually were reluctant to fight. All right, all right. Okay, thank you for all that you've given us. Thank you for all that you've given us. Let us try to also look at this information. Most of the things you've seen, so we are not going to waste a lot of time. We are saying some African societies collaborated simply because they associated civilization and colonialism. Are you getting it? They associated colonization and civilization. So they were looking at these colonialists as people that had come to civilize them. You understand? So that is one reason as to why these people collaborated. Now you are seeing that the whites, the way of dressing of the whites, the way they were dressing their clothes, then the rosary, the Bible, reading and writing, all this was seen as a way of civilization which had been brought by the colonialists. That is why they collaborated. Now, some collaborated to get military help. You've been giving this point, okay? So many people have given this point that they were thinking that these people will give them military support against their hostile neighbors. Then there are those that thought that collaboration was the best way, okay, in which they could defend themselves against the hostile neighbors. That it was the best way in which they could defend themselves against the hostile neighbors. Are you getting it? That is why you saw the Baganda collaborated against the Banyolo here in Uganda. Okay. I may not read everything that I have on my screen there, but we are of course getting out the key points that we need. Since most of the points have been given, so we are not going to waste a lot of time here. So we are saying others you were used as mercenaries. You understand it? For example, Semeika Kungu. These people that wanted material gains. Are we together? And that is why they collaborated. Then Semeika Kungu is there, the person we are talking about, right? So I think you've seen the man very well, and you will actually see him more when I upload this work on the Google Classroom. So some African societies were too weak to make formidable resistance. Yes, people have given this like more than 3 times or 4 times. Okay, that there are those societies that collaborated simply because they could not fight a white man. For them, they said, it's best we do not fight. Okay. Then most states knew their military strength, actually knew the military strength of the Europeans. And after knowing the military strength of the Europeans, they were like, we cannot fight them. So they decided to collaborate simply because the Europeans were militarily superior and these Africans could not engage them in a war. That is why they collaborated. Okay. Baganda under Kabaka Mwanga and the Masai had tried to fight the colonizers earlier, but with no success at all. You see, the Baganda knew that they could not fight against the white man. They earlier tried under Kabaka Mwanga, but they did not succeed. That is why they gave in. Then some states had tested the effects of slave trade, and the memories were still fresh in their mind, meaning that they could not resist. They tried to resist slave traders, and they actually saw what happened with them. So they were like, no, we cannot resist it now. We know what happened to us during slave trade, okay? So they never wanted to resist it, to go back into the same suffering that was there during the slave trade time. So some states hoped to get material rewards. Now these are states, not individuals. We've had individuals like a Semeika who wanted the material gains, but now we are looking at states that also wanted the material gains. Understand? Okay, I'm seeing a hand up. Hey, it has gone down. Okay. All right. So some states opted to get material wealth. We've talked about this, and that is why they collaborated. For example, it was true. This was true because most African states wanted superior weapons, most especially weapons, to fight against their enemies. They had also seen how the use of gun for security in the long-distance caravan trade worked. Okay, so collaboration with those who had weapons was the only opportunity they could not lose at any cost. Okay. Yes. We have ignorance. We've talked about this point. There are those that were ignorant about what was going on. They didn't know the intention of the outsiders. Are you getting it? And that is why for them they were, let us give in. After all, we don't even know what is next. They were uncertain of what was coming. Okay. So they innocently knew nothing about your intentions. And that is why these people collaborated. Now, there are those that had no choice of influence simply because the missionaries had already associated civilization, development, and progress with the coming of colonialists. Like they had taught them, they had converted them, they had softened their mind, they had showed them everything good comes from Europe. Are you getting it? Everything good comes from Europe. And when they saw colonialists coming, they were remembering what the missionaries had told them. Because missionaries could tell them everything black is satanic. Are you getting it? Everything black is satanic. So everything good was coming from Europe and the white man. So they had no choice but only to collaborate because they were associating collaboration with the development, progress, and all of that. Okay. Now we've gone to the last bit of this because resistance and collaboration actually go hand in hand. So we have seen collaboration. We also need to look at resistance. Are we together? We need to look at resistance. Why some societies, why some individuals resisted the colonial rule. I have Shida Shan. Are you contributing?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Resistance was seen as the only way of preserving their independence from colonialists.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a good point. Resistance was seen as the only way of defending their independence. Thank you so much. I have Muchidi. Unmute yourself.
Teacher, some resisted because their enemies had collaborated.
Yes, some resisted because their enemies had collaborated. Thank you. Robina?
Teacher, some tribes never agreed with the colonial rules and regulations.
Okay. Some tribes did not agree with the policies of the colonialists. Yes, thank you. Then I have Amanya. Trisha.
Some societies resisted because of the unfavorable and harsh economic policies like taxation, forced labor, and land alienation.
Yes, thank you so much. Taxation, forced labor, land alienation, divide and rule, discrimination, all of those policies were not in favor of an African, were not in favor of the people of East Africa. That is why they resisted. Julia.
Presence of able leaders also led to resistance of colonial rule.
That is true. Able leaders such as Kabalego of Bunyoro, okay, Mukwawa of the Hehi, then Abushiri. I mean, so many leaders were there at the time that could lead their people. Koitarel, Arab Samoy of the Nandi. You understand? Okay. Christine, Grace Gardi, one of you. Please, you can unmute either Christine, God, Grace.
resisted the colonial rule due to a number of reasons which were political, social, and economic in nature.
Okay.
Imposition of colonial rule.
Okay. Thank you. The reasons for the for resistance were political, social, and economic. True. Okay. A Viking, unmute yourself.
Some leaders resisted because the missionaries taught against their culture.
Yes, the missionaries taught against their culture. That is true, by the way. These people they so much cherished their culture, but the missionaries had started preaching against their culture. Everything African is satanic. That is the way they were preaching against Africans. Everything African is satanic. But Africans believe in small gods. Which is small gods? Africans believed in one supreme God. But when these small gods, these Africans were not believing in small gods. Okay. All right. Let me see from the chat. They wanted to. Okay. Okay. Christine says they wanted to get guns. Then Faith says some resisted. It is complete. Christine says they wanted to protect their independence. That is true. Again, Christine, some societies were sure and proud of their military force. That is true. Thank you, Christine. Then Jasmine, has she ruled? Yeah. The policies of these people against Africans, okay? The divide and rule policy, the forced labor policy, all those ones. Christian again says they want to protect the culture. That is true. Thank you. Then Daphne says high taxation. Again, this is true. Thank you. Amanya says some societies and individuals resisted in order to defend their economic gains. True. That is true. Thank you. Then Maskin says mind. That is again another good point. Thank you, Maskin. Then Faith says they didn't agree with them. Yeah, that is again another good point to give. Then Amara says loss of traditional business by African intermediaries in the pre-colonial trade. Again, this is another good point. The middlemen were out-competed by the chartered companies. And these East African middlemen were like, no, we still need our position as middlemen in the long distance trade. Thank you. Then Dina says because they were against the bad colonial policies. Yes. Okay. Thank you from the chat side. Then Rodin, I can see your hand is up.
Some tribes like Uganda never wanted to lose their land.
Sorry?
Some tribes like Uganda, Baganda never wanted to lose their land.
That is true. Some tribes like the Baganda never wanted to lose their land. That is very true. Okay. Okay. So we said some tribes like Baganda never wanted to lose their land. That is true. Thank you so much. Then Faith, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, teacher. The people of East Africa also resisted in order to pursue and maintain African freedom, which had prevailed before the coming of colonialists.
Thank you so much. They wanted to maintain their freedom, which freedom had prevailed before the coming of the white man. Thank you. Christine, Jennifer, one of you, unmute. Grace,
First labor.
Okay, forced labor. Yes, I've heard forced labor, and we can categorize, or we put that under the category of colonial policies, the harsh colonial policies. Okay, thank you. Rita?
Some resisted due to the interpretation of the treaties signed between the East African leaders and the colonialists.
Thank you so much. That is another point people do not yet given. You know, before these Africans actually didn't know the language that colonialists were using, the chartered companies were using. Many African chiefs signed the treaties that they didn't understand what they were all about. Now, after some time, okay, these treaties were now interpreted to Africans that you gave away your territories. Now, after realizing or knowing that they gave away their territories unknowingly, they started fighting against him, a white man. Thank you. Viking, unmute. Viking, unmute. Okay.
Some communities feared to lose their loved ones. For example, when the colonialists were dividing, when they were creating boundaries for their territories.
Okay. Some tribes never wanted to lose their loved ones because excuse me. Yeah, there was a time when the colonialists divided East Africa. And by drawing these boundaries, of course, some tribes were separated. There are Ugandans that were taken to Kenya. There were Kenyans that were brought to Uganda. There are Tanzanians that came to Uganda, Ugandans that went to Tanzania. You understand it? So by drawing borders, there is a way they separated these Africans. So some groups of people were trying to prevent that happening, though they could not. Naziz, unmute yourself.
Some Africans resisted because of segregation.
Because of segregation, yes, thank you. And that goes to the, of course, that goes to the unpopular colonial policies against Africans, okay? Briefly.
The white father scared the whites, the blacks, sorry.
The appearance of a white man, some white people were taken to be wizards and all that, okay? Diana, Faith, Diana, Faith, Rolling, yes.
In some instances, they deported some chiefs like Chief Awich Kabaka Mango Mukama Kabalaga.
The deportation of African chiefs
Yes.
contributed to, the deportation of African chiefs contributed to a secondary resistance, yes. Christine, Jennifer, Gadi, one of you, Isaac. Okay. They wanted to be independent. That is why they resisted. I think that is what I've picked from that. Deniva?
The high taxes that were imposed on Africans forced them to rebel and resist against
Okay. You were breaking, but at least I've had the point. The point was about high taxes, okay? High taxes forced these Africans to rebel against them. Okay, Fahadi, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, teacher. African chiefs and kings didn't want to lose power over their land.
They never wanted to lose power over their land. In other words, they wanted to protect their land, okay? I don't know whether Jenna Zach, you can now talk. Can you unmute yourself? Jenna Zach, I don't know what has happened to you. You can't unmute yourself. Okay. Then I've got Diana, Faith, Rolling.
Yes, teacher. The Africans were protesting against the compulsory cultivation of cash crops.
Yes, secondary resistance now. That Africans protested against compulsory or forced cash crop growing. Yeah, that is true. Forced cash crop growing, and that was actually very bad to these Africans. Okay. Okay. Now, now let us try to, let me see, from Deborah. Okay, let's see from the chat here. Interpretation of treaties, that is from Amara. Okay, interpretation of treaties. Yes, we have seen that. Later on, when the treaties were interpreted, then Africans realized they had sold, they had given away their countries. Then, Christine, it was the only way of preserving their independence. Thank you. Deborah, some societies had ambition of expanding their territories by annexing their neighboring societies, which the colonialists would refuse. Yes, thank you. Overtaxation from Mazkini. Thank you. Then Diana, they were against the alienation of land. Yes, thank you, Diana. They never respected their chiefs, again from Diana. Then Fahad was saying my hand is up, but I've tried to pick all people whose hands were up. Okay. I'm seeing another hand, but we are going to summarize. Viking, yes, your hand is up. Your hand is up, Viking.
Some boycotted because of low wages.
Because of no wages, they were overworked and paid too little. Low pay. They were overworked and then paid too little, or sometimes they didn't actually receive anything. So we have given this point that resistance was seen as the only way of preserving their independence. You understand? We've given that point, okay? Societies like Bunyoro, Nandi, Hehe, they saw resistance as the only way of preserving their independence. Now, some societies resisted because they were sure and proud of their military might. Mukwawa was so, Mukwawa was sure of his military might. Okay, and that is why a moment, please. Okay, so we are saying that Mukwawa was actually sure of his military might. And then we have this other point here. That one we are. So there is this one here, that others resisted because their neighbors who were their enemies and collaborated. We have seen this point, okay? There are those that resisted simply because their neighbors are collaborated. And there is this other point, yes. We have seen all of this information. That is why I am not wasting time explaining a lot, because I've already explained when you've given these points. Some societies resisted the bad cultures of the colonialists. For example, the Akidas and the Jumbes. The Akidas and the Jumbes in Tanzania raped African women. You understand? So these are the bad cultures we are talking about. And these bad cultures contributed to African resistance against colonial rule. This is the image of the Akidas and Jumbes in Tanzania that raped African women. You understand? And that is the reason why these Africans resisted. Then the coastal tribes of East Africa resisted the colonial abolition of slave trade. Yes, by the way, slave trade was such a lucrative trade. I understand. Are you getting the point? It was such a lucrative trade, and the moment it was abolished, these people were now losing. The coastal people were losing, so they decided to fight against those who were stopping slave trade, the colonialists, the missionaries, and all of that. Okay. Some societies were not given a chance to collaborate. For example, the Banyoro were outrightly attacked by the British. For example, the Banyoro resisted because they were not given a chance of collaborating. Outrightly, they were attacked. The moment the whites reached here, they attacked the Banyoro. So they also had to fight back. Okay? They also had to fight back. Okay. So this information, the colonial economic policies, by the way, like forced labor, over taxation, land grabbing, forced cash crop growing. We have given this point. Forced labor, most especially, this image here shows forced labor. These people were working for the whites. You can see they are carrying things. I don't know whether minerals or something. You see? So forced labor. Then some societies had the ambition of expanding their territories by annexing their neighbors, but the colonialists did not actually give a go-ahead to this, so they decided to fight against him. The colonialists see that he never wanted these societies to keep on expanding. Okay, we are rushing simply because we don't have time, and we have seen all these points already. You've contributed, you've given us these points. Okay, now interpretation of the treaties. Yes, I told you earlier, the people that signed the treaties did not actually understand what they were signing. But later on, the treaties were interpreted by African elites. Those that had gone to school was to come next in was what we call secondary resistance against the colonial rule. Then loss of traditional rules. Losing business by African intermediaries, okay? Losing business by the African intermediaries. We've talked about this point. They wanted to be part of the long distance trade, to be part of the business. But now the colonialists, the chartered companies were directly going and buying the goods from the coast, from the producers, and the middlemanship was no more. So we've come to the end of this lesson, but before I actually end, let me see from the chat I've got mail. Okay, someone wants the WhatsApp group link. It is so simple. Visit Google, then go to Christian Owners Schools Association. Okay, Christian School Owners Association. That is it. Christian School Owners Association. The moment you visit that website, everything that you need is there. Understand? You will just go to your senior one. Then after visiting senior one, you will find a link for the WhatsApp group. You just tap on it. And okay. Now Singoma says your number on the slides are always the same. The number is always there. And the slides I'm going to send, it is there. It is there. Okay. Okay, Blessing says, thanks for the lesson. You are welcome, Blessing. So we've come to the end of the lesson. I don't know whether Mr. Charles has some. Okay, maybe just to remind you that yes, we might be ending the live Zoom lessons, but the program is still on. I think people have already told you about this. The program is still going on. We are going to keep on posting videos. For example, I will be picking up from here what we've studied. I will pick up from here and I make a recorded video, which will be put on our YouTube channel. So what you have to do, again, when you visit Christian School Owners Association, you actually go and subscribe to that YouTube channel and then keep on getting information that we are going to be putting there. Yes, Mr. Charles, anything for our good learners?
Thank you so much for teaching. Today, I'm going to make the learners at least I'm going to turn, they should turn on their videos, and I will give some time off, but I had shared some link and some people are saying, teacher, what is this for? This is just also a website. Yesterday, I shared with them some website, but some of them, I don't know. Okay, let me first share my screen.
Yes.
Briefly, just for only 2 minutes. Oh, yes. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, me, I can send. I think they are also seeing.
Oh, so now from here, they were asking me, I shared with them the link. Let me see from the chat section here. Now, if they tap on the link, talk about the resources. This is also another resource that will help them to revise very well. Yes, so they will just come to a site, a website like this one. It has got lessons that will help them. I know for sure it's going to help. Now, when you come here, you see, it can ask you to create an account, or if you do not have an account, you can just log in here. See, this is what it is bringing. I think they understand English. If you do not have account, you create it. If you have it, you log in. So for me, I have. So I just type, and it will take me to some good courses. You see? Okay. If you create an account using your Gmail, it's even very simple, like writing one. So for me, I will log in because I've already created. And I also want Teacher Busuulwa to be making lessons for these guys so that they can go and then they can follow the lesson. You see now, it has opened. Now, these are lessons, Teacher Busuulwa. You can see lessons here, numbers in bases and a quiz. You can see like a conversion of numbers from one base to another. That is lesson 4. You tap on it, then you see, these are lessons here. And there is a video how you can convert numbers from one base to another. The video is loading. And also there is a working here on how you convert numbers from base, one base to another. There is a video app you can play. Then there is a working example. Then you can go next. Here I'm using my phone now. Then you go next. After next, it will give you a quiz. You see, there is a quiz here. You can say start quiz. And to check that whether you have understood the lesson, there is assessment. I've been doing it sometime. That's why you see my attempt there. A passing grade is 50%. Yeah, if you pass, yeah, like that. So let it, as you see, it's here. Teacher Busuulwa, you can confirm, no, so to convert these numbers to this base. Yeah, you can do, and then you select the response from here. Then you go next. Yeah, something that is really good. And also they have a collaboration site. If you create an account, you can also, I'm also forming a group of learners who can collaborate, they can discuss directly here. Yes, me, I've already created an account. You see the activity, you can create yourself, you can make yourself friends. There are groups here that you can join the groups and you start discussing with colleagues from all over the world. Yes, you write question and they respond to your question. I've already created mine. So this is it. I hope now learners have understood what it's all about. Teacher Busuulwa, thank you so much for being with us for this long. I am in English, we said indebted to. Yeah, I'm indebted to you. You have been teaching all your lessons. You did not even miss one. Can you imagine? This is serious, learner. So you need to give Teacher Busuulwa a very big clap. I'm going to unmute you. You clap for him. Yeah, for doing that. And I wish you success in your exams. I know you are going to pass with all these resources. No, my learners cannot fail. Yes, you can turn on your video, turning on mine. This is Teacher Charles.
So you can also
Okay.